Are you looking at that camera, folks? Because here we are on a very special edition of Bazaar Shopping Network. It is part 2 of Meet the Fam. We decided we would kick it up this year and do a new version of Bazaar Shopping Network so y'all could get to know our Bazaar family, who we love so much, and we appreciate you coming in and supporting them. And now you get to know a little bit more about them. And today we have Melvin and Jesse joining us. And there is a reason that they are joining us today. It is because on Saturday, they came up with an idea that they wanted to have a vintage market. So they are newer to the Bazaar family, and they have both created these really unique, different vintage collectible type shops here at the Bazaar, in addition to our Creative Hands of Sarasota, who has been with us since day one. So they really wanted the Bazaar to be established as a place where you know you can come and find amazing, cool, vintage stuff. So they came to me and said, hey, what do you think about doing a vintage market and having other vendors join us out in the courtyard? And not only that, y'all, they're putting on a fashion show, right? They're going to have like this epic fashion show. So keep your fingers crossed that the weather is nice this Saturday. Yes. That is this Saturday. The event will be all day, our normal Bazaar hours, but the fashion show will be at 11. And if it rains, we will move it inside. The fashion show will go on rain or shine, so be sure to come in. And I can't decide if I wanted to say, yeah, you guys can say hi. This is Melvin, and this is Jesse. But I'm going to send them to their spaces so we can talk to each of them in their individual space here at the Bazaar. So I'm going to ask Melvin to move to his space and Jesse to move to his space. And before I go over there, we're doing a little flashback of our own, y'all. Check this out. This is what the courtyard area looked like before we renovated it. I mean, talk about a flashback. Holy mackerel. What you're looking at in this picture is, I don't even know what you're looking at. Oh, that is from Lime Avenue, and that is the makery space. And then we now have all the palm trees. So is that not crazy? Unbelievable. And then here's your graphic to remind you that the fashion show is this Saturday. And the reason that we're here today is because we've got Melvin and Jesse, who are in charge of putting on the fun Saturday show. And so this is Melvin.
Hello.
I hope that you guys can hear us okay. We're changing things up around for your normal BSN. And Melvin joined us. How long have you been here now?
About August. I think that's the first week of August.
And then you started out with one space, and you're like, please, please, Kim, can I have more space? I have more to show. So you've expanded. You actually have a large space here at the Bazaar, and it is filled. Tell us a little bit about what you have inside this space.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. So we are 4 items mainly. We have vintage clothing, hats, vintage hats, and then also music media like CDs and vinyl, 70s, 80s vinyl.
Lots of vinyl. Lots of vinyl. What hat did I just put? My husband's going to kill me.
Sox.
I can't wear a Red Sox hat. But I can wear, go Gators. Go Gators. Now, how did you get into, I mean, first of all, sorry that I'm saying this, but I love that we have, I love that we have a man here. We do not have that many male Bazaar family members. I think it's you, Gordon, and Mr. Bill. So out of the 40 small businesses that we have, 3 are men. So we are so happy that we have, and you know, sorry, they're the ones that I always call like, we need the sandbags moved. Can you change the water for us? So sorry about that. I'll apologize to you. How did you get into wanting to have a vintage store?
Thanks for the opportunity for accepting me here at the Bazaar. Well, I got to it with my dad. My dad and I used to go to flea markets as a kid. He used to buy baseball cards and like candy. I used to sell it around my neighborhood, so that's how I got into a lot of our vintage things in my early age, obviously, and then around 2016, I really got into a lot of the vintage and learning what vintage is, and what like tags and.
Okay, so here's a good question, and I don't mean to put you on the spot.
Mm-hmm.
How do you define what is vintage to you?
Yeah, so I mean, the definition of vintage comes from vint, the wine, if I'm not mistaken, and it's 20 years or older. So that's vintage. Then antiques is actually defined by 100 years. A lot of people say it's 30 or 40, but the definition is 100 years.
So 20 years or older is vintage.
Yes.
Did you hear that, Willow? My daughter at 27, you're vintage now. I'm just old. You're vintage. And so you got this passion from your dad. And then what were you doing before? Because I know you were doing something pretty cool before.
Oh, yeah. No, so I was in the Coast Guard. I'm a veteran from the Coast Guard. I spent a little more than 20 years in the Coast Guard. I did a bunch of stuff inside the Coast Guard, but my main job was to be a chef in the Coast Guard. And inside of that, I did a bunch of missions inside.
Well, thank you for serving, and we're so glad that he is here now. I am actually wearing one of your pieces that is vintage and now kind of new-ish because it's a collaboration with Virginia.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Tell us about this as I model.
Yeah.
Hold up. I'm modeling.
So we collab. I had some vintage pieces. I talked to our artist here at the Makery, and she was super excited about doing a collab. So I gave her some vintage pieces, and I said, hey, just do what you feel, what comes from the heart. And she did these 3 vintage pieces. The jacket, this is another jacket that I think is amazing, and just one of my favorites because it reminds me of 90s. So there's a Cleveland Indians MLB vintage shirt. And I love it.
It's interesting. I was wondering why she did a horse on this one. And did you see the lining on this jacket?
Yeah, I love that.
This is a fabulous jacket. And Virginia Bright has made it even more fabulous now with her amazing art. So not only is it vintage, but now they're one of a kind.
Yeah, they're one-on-one pieces, which I think it's amazing what she ended up doing in each piece. So you're not going to get any of these pieces anywhere else. They're just one of a kind here. On Saturday, they'll be available.
How am I doing modeling? This is a size probably 4, and much needed now because it's cold out, and you have a lot of great jackets.
Yes.
And so you've got sports jackets, and you have a lot of music too as well.
So I have different sections in the store. I have a music section. I have a Ralph Lauren section, and also sweaters and sports, and a little bit of the Y2K era as well, and 90s like Looney Tunes, along those lines. And then I also have what I call a blessing rack. It's right here. And those are items that are super cool and at a lower price, anywhere from like $5 to $10.
Oh, very cool. So your price point is really great. You hear me talk about that a lot, that our Bazaar family members, they price things so they can sell and move out, so they can just keep making more or curating more. So this is a place where you will always find great prices. So I know I'm putting you on the spot again, but anything else that you want to add or talk about before we go on to Jesse?
Yeah, I mean, I'll show a couple like my favorite music from the 90s. I grew up listening to Rob Zombie.
Who?
Rob Zombie. Or back in the 90s, he started with White Zombie. That was his group. He turned it to a solo artist. And he's also a filmmaker. And Godsmack started in the 90s. I love it.
Okay, what was it? Okay, vintage, and then what was when you're really old?
Oh, antique.
I'm an antique, y'all. I don't know who these are.
So we have a little everything from Rolling Stones to, Y2K bands. So we have that. Yeah, also vinyls. Our vinyls are $10 each, so they're very
Vinyls,
accessible.
CDs, yeah.
And the CDs as well. So yeah, we have a great selection of music, sports as well. So yeah, please.
So we are
and support.
so excited to have Melvin part of the Bazaar family. There is so much more to show you that we're not showing you today, so just, you have to come in. Once again, we are open Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 10 to 3, and the Vintage Market and Flashback Fashion Show is this Saturday. Now, I'm going to put the graphic back up, and I'm going to ask Susie to move the camera over to Jessie of Black Lagoon. Jessie of Black Lagoon, who is putting on the major part of the fashion show. She has coordinated all the models. Let's see, are we set up? I think we're set up. There, look at us, there we go. I'm gonna ask you to stand on this side so the logo's not on your face. She's taller than me, just a little bit. There we go. So now we are over at Jessie's space with the Black Lagoon. Hi, Jessie.
Hi,
I'm
thanks
putting
for
you on
having
the
me.
spot. Jessie is an old pro at doing all of this, though, because she has like a YouTube channel and multiple Instagram channels. And if you're not following her, both of actually Lucky Ace and Black Lagoon have amazing Instagram
Oh, thank
where
you.
they're always posting, not just. I think one of the things that I like about your content is not only are they just saying like, hey, you can buy this juicy bag. Okay, great, whatever. But she tells stories behind it, or she shows it going through the process, or it's very interesting. And
Oh, thanks.
that was a lame word. It's
No,
very
I love,
fun.
I love teaching people about the items because that's what I love doing is just like nerding out about them. So yeah, I'm glad that it's coming across.
And how did you get into this?
So how I got into like vintage.
Sure, let's start there.
Well, I always loved like old movies and stuff, and my grandma growing up, she was a seamstress, so I always loved asking her about clothes and just watching old movies, and I always wanted them. So then when I started thrifting and I started finding things that I was like, oh, you know, this inspires me. I just love like playing pretend and dress up. So that's kind of how I got into it. And then I started.
You're like a real live Barbie doll then.
Oh, thank you. That's a great compliment. I started selling it because I had already like given everything to all my friends and filled up all my closets that I could. So then I was like, I guess I have to start selling.
So what's your favorite classic movie?
Oh my god.
Totally putting you on the spot.
I can't.
Okay, no pressure.
Oh my
We'll
gosh,
come
I'll
back
have
to that
think.
later.
Maybe we'll come back to
Let
it.
it, yeah, let us know later. I think that's really interesting, like how people. I mean, I was always into vintage, and I'll never forget, like in 10th grade, buying my first like prom dress at a vintage store, and it was super cool, and it was like $2
Oh my
because back
gosh.
then you could find things for $2.
Yeah.
But my passion for it was because I wanted to be different, and I didn't want to buy like that dress that you got at like Dillard's that everybody was wearing. So
Totally.
one of the things that I think is so cool that you've curated is not only do you have vintage items, but they're truly like beautiful pieces or unique pieces. And you also really got into the juicy.
Yes.
Okay, so tell us how
So,
that started.
Juicy Couture is one of my obsessions and my passions. So speaking of vintage and how old it is, vintage is 20 years old, like you guys were talking about. But bags, technically, and some people fight about this, so it's kind of interesting. Bags are vintage when they're 10 years old. So I have one of my Instagram accounts that you were talking about. It's called Vintage Juicy Couture. And it kind of scares people because they're like, what? Juicy Couture is vintage? But it is. It started in the late 90s, got really popular in the early 2000s. But bags that are 10 years old are also vintage. So I just became obsessed with this during the pandemic. I just started ordering all these bags, and I just delved into like the different tags and what they mean and different like finishes and why did they stop using this lock and change it to something else like 5 years later. So I love history and making like timelines and things like that. And also with Juicy, a big thing of it for me is like the feel of it. I love just like how things feel and embroidery and stuff. It's very juicy and like luscious and just fun to like feel, and it has like good sounds. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but it's like it's so fun. So yeah.
I could just shoot myself because back in, I think it was, Susie, was that in the
2000.
about 2000, I had a store.
Don't make me
And
cry.
we were because Saks Fifth Avenue was not here yet. They opened up after I was already open, but we were like the exclusive Juicy Couture shop in town. So we would have racks and racks and racks of every color velour jumpsuit, the ones with the Juicy on the butt. I could kill myself that I gave them to my mom for a garage sale and she gave them all away to her friend. I will never forgive you, Mom, for doing that.
Well, it's meant to be that I ended up coming here and being obsessed with Juicy and that you guys had that. She's shown me the pictures and they're really cool. I'll have to post them on my page.
Oh my gosh, we had so much. And so you have quite an assortment though. So a lot of Juicy Couture, mostly like a lot of bags, but then you also have nightgowns, you have formal wear, you have, I mean, how do you decide what you want to have and where do you find
Great
everything?
question.
Yes.
So I kind of started narrowing it down because I went a little crazy with just having everything. And then I was like, you know what? I want to only have things that make me excited and that I'm really like passionate about. So usually the things that I have like a little story to it or something interesting about it. So you're definitely going to see that at the fashion show, and that's kind of the theme of it is, and I love that we're talking about this, like what's vintage? So Y2K is vintage, 90s is vintage, and then we're going to have pieces from the 50s all around. So I don't know, just things that just spark.
And you love leopard prints.
I love leopard
Leopard
yes.
prints. She had a whole rack at one time of
Yes.
nothing but leopard prints.
Yes, and everyone bought it all, so I guess I
Yes.
need to get more.
Well, leopard print is one of those things that never goes out of style.
Right. Yeah, so I always love saying like leopard is a neutral, and people think that's funny, but it is. You can wear it anytime.
Did
Susie
you hear that,
behind
folks?
The camera is wearing
Leopard
it right now.
is a neutral.
Yes.
Leopard is a neutral. That is like the best. We should make a T-shirt that says that. To wear with your
shirt.
leopard skirt.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Yeah, it's timeless. It has like a vintage feel to it, but it always has a modern feel to it. So I love that. We need to make sure we have. Oh, we do have some leopard in the fashion show, actually. Some fabulous stuff. So
I'm very excited about this fashion show. It's going to be super fun. Once again, the fashion show is this Saturday at 11 o'clock.
Yes,
rain or
don't be
shine.
late.
If it's raining, we'll move the fashion show inside. So
and you're
it's
invited. So have you ever been invited to a fashion show? Now you have.
a VIP.
VIP.
You're all VIP guests. We'll
Yep.
have a seat for you. Well, if it's inside, we might not have a seat for you.
We'll have somewhere
If we're
for you.
outside, you'll have a seat for you. Front row seat at the fashion show. So you also have, Hello Kitty, which I wanted to mention just because I know that's like such a big trend right now.
Yeah. So this, I think this has the year on it somewhere. This is a Hello Kitty tee from the early 2000s.
How cute is that?
Yeah, and that's Hello Kitty's a fun one too because a lot of their stuff does have dates on it, or any Sanrio thing has dates on it. It's been around for a long time, but it has that kind of timelessness. Not 50s timelessness, but you don't know, if this was from like today or from Y2K unless you really know. So
you'll be extra special when you're in the know.
yeah, exactly. And something I love about Hello Kitty is like when people walk by my booth and they see it, a lot of people will be like, oh, Hello Kitty, and they'll be like, oh, I loved that, or oh, I always wanted that, but I didn't have it, or oh, my daughter loves that. It always like sparks something, or my kid loves it. It makes people like just excited and nostalgic, and that's what I love doing at my store is like things that just make you remember your childhood or something that you wanted in your childhood that you never had. Like maybe you didn't have money for it or you weren't allowed to have it. That's kind of like what I'm doing. It's like trying to heal your inner child through just having cool
Kind of
stuff.
like I wasn't allowed to have my Calvin Klein jeans.
Oh yeah, we'll
Oh
have
my
to get
God.
you some.
Brooke Shields, when she said nothing comes between me and my Calvins, I wanted a pair
Oh,
so
yes.
bad. Yeah, I wasn't allowed.
Oh, we'll have to find some really
Yes,
good ones.
on the hunt. There's your challenge. There's your challenge. So thank you so much for taking a few minutes.
Thank
So I
you.
had Melvin and Jesse come in early. Susie's giving me notes.
Want him to come?
Oh, you can come back in. Come back in. I'm just really glad that they both came in early today so they could be part of Bazaar Shopping Network. I can pull let's see if I can take the logo off your head. Yeah, I can't get the logo off your head.
I'll just move right here.
Sorry about that, folks. Technology is not always, working today. I can't even find your name. There you go. There we go. At least you got your names here. We'll move over a little bit here. Come in and meet. The thing, all right, I'm going on my soapbox again. One of the things that I always say is that what sets the bazaar apart from other places similar is that when you come to visit us, you are actually meeting the person that has curated the shop, made the items, picked it out. So it really makes us a special place, and we're so grateful for all your support. We have some other events coming up, so watch this. I'm going to have Jesse and Melvin help me out. All right, let's go. So once again, if we haven't reminded you enough today, this is our vintage fashion show and market that's coming up. And, oh, this is big news too. On this Friday, y'all, we are open until 7 p.m. So for those of you that, say, oh, it's so hard to get there before 3 on a Friday, guess what? Bazaar shops will be open this Friday until 7 p.m. Hamlet's Eatery will be open for dinner, and we've got Nax Steel on the steel drums from 5 to 8. It's going to be so much fun. Creative Liberties across the street will stay open, so it's a party. Come on down and see us on Friday. I'm going to try to go in order, but I'm not going to do that. The following month, so every second Friday, the bazaar shops will be staying open until 7 p.m. Hamlet's Eatery will be staying open for dinner, and then we will have live music. On February 14th, it's going to be a very special Valentine's Day. We have Johnny Rawls and his band. He's big time. He was the 2018 Souls Blue Artist of the Year. So you definitely want to save the date for that. And for all my foodies and rum lovers, especially rum lovers of Siesta Key rum, Hamlet's Eatery is hosting a Caribbean Carnival celebration. It is a multi-course menu, steel drums, other surprises. Well, one of the surprises I'll tell you now because I am so excited. We're having a calypso dancer complete with that headdress. Greet y'all. It's going to be amazing. Tickets must be purchased in advance, and it is going to be a fabulous evening on February 28th. Then really going into February, we've got a Grateful Day at the Bazaar, February 22nd. Turn on your love light. And I know Jesse's excited about Mrs. Roper Romps because she's going to bring out some fun floral caftans for all of you to wear. That is on March 8th. And then, of course, whoopsie daisy. Every third Saturday this year, we are continuing with the Limelight Market. That's where we have guest vendors and rescue dogs out. That is an event that you don't want to miss because it is super fun. There is always something going on at the bazaar, whether it's just a Thursday where we're here and we want to hang out with you, or we have a special event. Please sign up to get on our email list so you know what's going on. You don't want to miss anything. How bad would we feel if they're like, we didn't know you had a vintage market? Well, sign up for our email list. You'll be in the know. So once again, thank you to Jesse and Melvin for joining Bazaar Shopping Network, our part 2 of Meet the Fam. We hope to see you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for telling your friends to come visit us, and have a fabulous, fabulous day.
Bye.